Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to Lamplight City. And we were able to sneak our way into the crime scene of our newest case, guys. Desiree Lathan, who met a very gruesome fate here, being burnt alive in her bed. We went ahead and searched the rest of the room, and now it's time to go ahead and examine the body. So, let's see what we find here.
Ashes to ashes and all that. I'm glad I was buried. Cremation always seemed a bit too hot to handle.
Now's not the time for jokes, Bill.
Are you serious? Death is the best time for jokes. Otherwise, it's all just a bunch of boo-hoo-hoo this and wow-wow-wow that. And trust me, there's plenty of that in life. Hell, you'd know better than anyone.
All right. Just shut it for a bit while I look over the crime scene, would you? I need to concentrate.
Bill's one of those people that would prefer a wake to a funeral.
Alas, poor Desiree, a woman of infinite riches, of tastes most fancy. Oh, where's all your money now? Come to think of it, that question might be worth answering.
He's not wrong. We need to figure out where all that money went to. Because remember, she updated her will.
Ugh, greasy, fetid, stinking ashes. Who knew the human body was capable of producing such a disgusting byproduct?
I'm surprised the coroner hasn't taken the body away yet.
Probably because there isn't much of a body left to take. Either that or Dr. Edwards knows better than to deal with something like this.
That's extremely unlike him. He'd jump at the chance to examine this body. Perhaps we should allow him the pleasure.
I hope you're not suggesting what I think you're suggesting. I don't think Desiree will be able to give us a hand with this investigation.
Bill?
What? I thought it was funny.
Pure gallows humor.
Miles, do you really want to go carrying around those stinking ashes in your pocket? It'll take ages to get the smell out.
Good point. I'll need to find something to carry them in.
This one's clean. Well, aside from the fact that the rest of the leg is burned off. There's a tattoo on her ankle. It says, "Dancing through life." Hate to break it to her, but that dance is over.
So we need to find something. Maybe we can find a dustpan here. Maybe the waste bin?
Nothing else of interest in there.
Well, let's check the ash pile.
Odd. Another pile of ashes under the bed. Looks as though whatever she kept underneath got burned too. Or it could be that whatever was under the bed is what caught fire in the first place. Although, there's no evidence of what started it. All that's left is a small piece of cloth. Might as well take it.
The cloth appears to have some oily residue on it. Interesting.
Might be an accelerant. Alright, where... The typewriter, fireplace...
Nothing else of interest in there.
And I don't know if this is going to be our only chance to grab something from the crime scene.
Nothing else. Doesn't look as though this fireplace has been used in a...
And... Alright, I think we're good.
Was there someone else in the room just now? I thought I heard you talking.
Oh, no. It's just sometimes I think aloud when investigating crime scenes.
I see.
Good save. We don't need any more police officers thinking you're insane.
And everything else seems to be...
No.
good here. Alright. Let's see where else we can investigate. So we've got the Gascon Supper Club. We've got Rentwell Magazine. Usher and Price. Let's go ahead since... let's do this logically. If we were here at 840 right way, let's head to Usher and Price because it would be the closest one.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the law offices of Usher and Price. May I help you?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator, and I'm looking for Jonas Usher.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. Usher is not seeing anyone today. If it's a matter of urgent legal importance, you could see Mr. Price.
By the way, I love the reference to Usher and Price. Usher being the House of the Fall of Usher, which is a well-known Edgar Allan Poe story. And was it Edgar Allan Poe that did Fall of the House of Usher? It might be Nathaniel Hawthorne? I'm not sure off the top of my head, but that's a very known kind of gothic style book. And then Vincent Price, who did tons of gothic horror films back in the day. Alright, well, let's go ahead and have a chat with the secretary again.
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yes?
If I may ask, what is the reason for Mr. Usher's refusal to see anyone today?
He has a rather important trial starting tomorrow, and doesn't want to run the risk of falling ill.
Falling ill?
Mr. Usher is very particular about his health. Very particular.
I see. Might it be possible to relay a message to Mr. Usher?
Yes, you can leave a message or calling card with me, and I'll make sure Mr. Usher gets it.
Sir, it is of the utmost importance that I speak with Mr. Usher.
And as I said, he isn't taking visitors today.
But it's in regards to his client, Desiree Lathan. Or should I say, former client.
Miss Lathan found another attorney?
No, I'm sorry to be the one to have to inform you, but she's dead.
Dead? I had no idea.
No? It was in today's newspaper.
I haven't read it yet. Mr. Usher forbids it in the office.
But surely he's read it, just because he forbids you reading the paper in the office.
No, I mean he forbids the presence of newspapers in the office. He fears they bring in outside germs.
I see.
In any case, if what you say is true, I'll need some sort of proof.
I suppose just bringing in a copy of the newspaper is out of the question, then. We'll have to find another way.
Okay.
Perhaps Mr. Usher will see me when he sees this.
Oh, what's that?
A letter from Mr. Usher to his client, Desiree Lathan.
What? That's private correspondence. How did you get that?
It was evidence I found at a crime scene.
And how is it relevant?
The crime scene in question was Miss Lathan's own bedroom, where she was found burned to death.
That's quite a claim, Mr. Fordham. I can assure you that Mr. Usher deals primarily with facts. Right now, the only fact this letter proves to me is that you somehow rummaged through Miss Lathan's possessions and acquired it.
Rummaged.
He does have a point. We'll need something a bit more persuasive.
Well, boo.
I actually don't have anything to show.
Right. Please, stop wasting my time then. I'm very busy.
I appreciate your time.
Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
What else do we have here that we can look at?
That pipe really clashes with the rest of the decor in here. The plaque says it's a portrait of Thomas Usher. Looks like a real go-getter. It would be unwise to barge into Mr. Usher's office having been told he isn't seeing anyone today. We need to find a way to make him change his mind.
Are those Rice Krispie treats? And it looks like we can't actually... Oh!
Seems like they've got some kind of modern message delivery service in here. Of all the things to spend your money on.
And nothing else. Okay. So we need to find something a little bit more concrete. And seems that Mr. Usher is a... I believe that the term is hypochondriac. I think Howie Mandel is like that. So was... I always forget his name. Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes was like that as well. Let's try the Gascon Supper Club. If that's a guy, that is an amazing mullet. I guess we'll find out.
That painting depicts a hand dropping a bunch of blood-soaked silver coins into another hand. Definitely sets the bar for the type of people who come here, I'd say.
That is definitely a mullet. Holy crap. Kiefer Sutherland and the Lost Boys would be proud of that one.
The bridge to Lyon overlooking the House of Parliament. I suppose that seeing that helps the patrons of this club put on airs.
By the way, I went ahead and looked up a little bit of the lore of this game, avoiding spoilers, of course, and found out, I believe, that this world is set, the alternative, the big kind of twist is the United States never existed. The colonies actually stayed with Great Britain, and then it kind of became a commonwealth like Canada and divided into 8 territories. So I was thinking that it may have been kind of the Harry Turtledove style kind of alt history with the Confederacy and everything. Not the case. It's just the fact that the 13 colonies expanded and got turned into 8 kind of territories, and very interesting.
These are all high-end foo-foo liqueurs and cordials. You couldn't pay me to drink that rubbish.
I wouldn't mind getting paid for it. Woman. Oh, okay.
Excuse me, miss?
Oh, well, hello there, handsome. I've never seen you around here before. Care to join me for a drink?
Yeah, let's have a chat about your lovely Kentucky waterfall.
Thank you, but I'm on duty.
On duty? What are you, a cop?
Force of habit. I'm a private investigator, actually.
Oh, not much better, if you ask me.
The name's Miles Fordham, and you are?
Charlotte Robineau.
Pleasure. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
I suppose not. It would help pass the time.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought it looked like a mullet. I apologize, ma'am.
Were you here for the Grand Dame's ball the other night?
Of course, we all were. Well, except for Laura. Terrible business.
You mean Laura Dupre?
The very same. Have you met?
I have. In fact, I investigated her attempted murder.
Is that right? I heard she ended up in jail for torturing her servants.
Yes, it was quite disturbing.
I didn't think Laura was capable of such a thing. She always seemed so kind. I guess we all have our dark secrets.
Does that apply to you as well, Miss Robineau?
If I told you, then it would no longer be a secret, would it?
Fair point.
At least she's honest.
Do you know Desiree Lathan?
I knew her, yes.
When did you last speak to her?
Oh, it's been ages. She and I haven't had much to do with each other for a while.
Why is that?
It's really not important. We just didn't see eye to eye on a few things.
Was she at the Grand Dame's ball?
Yes, she was. Drinking up a storm, as usual. Desi really knew how to enjoy herself.
How much did she drink?
Oh, I don't know. She used to outmatch me, and I can handle quite a bit.
What can you tell me about Desiree's death?
Just what I've read in the papers. She burned to death. It's horrible. She certainly didn't deserve to die in such a gruesome way.
Did she have any enemies? Anyone who might have wanted to do her harm?
No. Everyone loved her.
Except you?
Mr. Fordham, I said we haven't had much to do with each other. That doesn't mean I didn't care for her. Now please, let's drop the subject.
That's fair enough. What about the letter writer, though?
Is the name Peter Andrews familiar to you?
Peter Andrews? Is he still around?
I'd be able to tell you that if you told me who he is.
He's desperate. That's who he is. A lovesick fool who is obsessed with Desi. Sent her love letters all of the time.
Would you know where I can find him?
Why would you want to?
Because I want to question him about Miss Lathan's death.
I suppose that makes some sense. All I remember Desi telling me is that he worked at the Bank of Vespuccia, a clerk or some such. Imagine.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay, well, we know where Peter is hiding out.
Tell me a little about yourself.
Why, Mr. Fordham, I hardly know you. Well, that said, I'm always open to making new friends.
Ooh, watch out, Miles. I think she's getting ready to pounce.
Compliment her? Oh dear. No. We gotta stay on the straight and narrow.
Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to your drink.
Thanks, sweetheart.
But if we play our cards right... Alrighty. Well... Let's see. There's the Bank of Vespuccia. And actually... Okay, we still... The supper club is still there. Let's try Brentwell Magazine next.
Ah, hello there. Are you here to drop off an article?
No, actually, I'm a private investigator. The name's Miles Fordham.
How exciting. You must have so many interesting stories.
You could say that, yes.
Please, come in, come in. I'm Alan Brentwell, owner and publisher of Brentwell Magazine.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
At least he's friendly.
For Whom the Bell Almost Tolled by Suki Snobs. Fascinating stuff. Confessions of a Steam Addict by Ezra Bartley. I think I'm better off not knowing. For the publisher of a sensationalist rag, Brentwell is awfully well read. Assuming he actually has read all those books, of course. Empty. Too bad.
Can we grab that? I need it for ash gathering purposes.
Empty. Too bad.
Boo.
I can only begin to imagine how many lurid and salacious articles are kept in those cabinets. I can only begin to... Brentwell has a front row seat to all the horrible things he might want to write about in his magazine.
We need to be really careful here with him, I'm thinking.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Brentwell.
Wonderful! It's so seldom I get to answer questions.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
Desiree Lathan. Oh, why, she came to me a few weeks ago in response to an ad I took out requesting articles. She told me she had an idea readers would love. We agreed on 10 crowns per paragraph, and she was on her way. Come to think of it, I haven't heard from her in a few days.
Tell me about Brentwell Magazine.
We're a monthly publication focusing on both fiction and non-fiction pieces.
Ah, yes, you're publishing that serial, aren't you? The Dissembling Mechanism?
You're a subscriber! Tell me, what did you think of the conclusion? Quite astonishing, wasn't it?
I haven't had a chance to read it yet, I'm afraid.
Ah, then I won't say any more about it. My dream was to have a magazine that was well-respected and educational. But sadly, it seems today's audiences are much more interested in reading about sightings of giant bat creatures or mysterious buried treasures. Such a pity.
I hear you have a bit of a reputation for making your reporters do questionable things for their articles.
You are mistaken, Mr. Fordham. I don't force my writers to do anything. They seem to have this notion that the more extreme their research, the more authentic the articles will be.
What sort of extremes are we talking about here?
We had one writer who attempted to heighten the sensation of fear she wanted to express in her story. Damn near decapitated herself by sticking her head through an opening at the clock tower at St. Denis Cathedral.
Yowza.
Ugh. Thankfully, she made it out alive. It would have been quite the predicament if she hadn't. Especially considering that was our most popular article last year. Oh, people have such odd taste.
What made you decide to start this business?
I always wanted to be a journalist. I never had much luck with any of the local papers, though. So I decided to start my own. I admit it's not exactly what I wanted, but I like to think Brentwell Magazine has found its own unique voice.
Voice? More like a gurgling scream.
Well, time to break the news.
Were you aware that Miss Lathan is dead?
What? No, I had no idea. What happened?
I'm not exactly sure. She seems to have burned to death under mysterious circumstances.
Mysterious circumstances?
Most of her body was burnt to ash, but there's very little fire damage around her. It's as though she herself just caught fire.
Oh, that sounds positively ghastly. Oh dear.
Is something wrong?
I just remembered. The article she was writing, dear God, I hope she didn't go too far with her research.
Right, remember I was talking about a fire inside.
What exactly was Desiree's article about?
I'm not entirely sure. She merely came to me with the proposal.
She didn't tell you what that idea was?
She did, but I wasn't sure what to make of it.
Please, Mr. Brentwell, stop stalling and tell me what she was writing about.
It was about spontaneous human combustion.
What do you know about spontaneous human combustion?
That's the thing, I don't know very much at all. It sounded interesting enough, that's why I accepted Miss Lathan's proposal to write the article about it.
But what do you know about it?
Only that it's a mysterious phenomenon in which a person catches fire spontaneously and burns to death. It sounds exactly as you described Miss Lathan's condition.
Do you know what Miss Lathan's research on the subject involved?
Only the one contact I gave her, a Miss Angela Maxwell at the Spectre Society in Gascone.
Bam. I knew that we were going to have to head back there once we saw that book.
The Spectre Society, huh? I shouldn't be surprised to hear that name again.
Are you a member?
Actually, I am.
Then I suggest you do some research there. There's bound to be something relevant in that curious library of theirs.
Thank you. Perhaps I will. Thanks for your time, Mr. Brentwell.
The pleasure is all mine.
And now he's going to draft up some sort of sensationalist story about it.
Useful for getting to those hard-to-reach places. In my case, that's everywhere. Empty.
Alrighty. Now we can head back to the Spectre Society now. We've been to the Supper Club. Let's try the Bank of Vespuccia. Have a chat.
Mr. Fordham.
Ah, Mr. Dupre. Good to see you again. Is all well with you?
Absolutely. Everything is wonderful. Because of you, this city has finally seen Laura Dupre for the monster she is. I cannot thank you enough.
I suppose you're welcome?
Now then, is there anything I can help you with?
Yes, I'm looking for Peter Andrews. I was told he worked here.
That's right. His desk is just over there.
Thank you, Mr. Dupre. Lovely seeing you.
You got a nice little postscript there. That's nice.
We haven't got anything else to ask him about right now.
Right now. Okay, there's Mr. Andrews. Wow, look at that clock.
What an absurd contraption. Imagine needing all those extra bits and bobs just to tell the time. I tried using one of these automatic money dispensers once, but I nearly got my arm stuck inside. They still got a long way to go. Yeah, impressive bit of hardware. It would take a criminal mastermind to rob this bank.
Mr. Andrews.
Yes?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. May I ask you a few questions?
Yes, I suppose that would be fine. Have a seat.
I'd rather stand, if it's all the same to you. Now then.
Oh. Awkward. That puts him on the defensive right off the bat.
Do you know Desiree Lathan?
Desiree Lathan? No, I can't say the name rings any bells.
Really?
You say you don't know Miss Lathan. Would you care to explain these?
Why are they crumpled up? Did she throw them out? And why do you have them?
I just love catching people like this.
Relax, Mr. Andrews. Let's take this slowly. Now, I can assume by your reaction that these are your letters?
Yes, they are.
So why did you lie about knowing Miss Lathan?
I promised my wife I would cut off contact.
Oh.
But you clearly didn't. The most recent letter is from 2 weeks ago.
Did she hire you?
Your wife? No, that's not why I'm here.
Ah, well, that's somewhat of a relief then.
Oi. Give me 1 sec, guys. So, let's, I don't want to bring up Desiree's death right off the bat. Let's go questions about the wife and himself first.
So your wife knows about your correspondence with Miss Lathan?
Well, I don't know if you could really call it correspondence. Desiree never wrote back. But yes, Peggy, that is to say Margaret found out shortly after we married.
Exactly how many letters did this bounder send, I wonder?
At first I tried to make it out that she was just a friend, but she found one of the more intimate ones while I was writing it.
I see. And what was her reaction?
What do you think? I still have the scar from the glass that she threw at me.
You're still married?
Oh yes. Margaret comes from a very strict Catholic family. They would sooner she die than divorce. It hasn't been easy. She makes sure to take full advantage of the situation. Always buying herself the most expensive jewelry and spending a fortune on food for those wretched cats.
Hey!
I swear, they're better fed than I am.
Where might I find Mrs. Andrews? I'd like to speak to her.
Our house is at 713 Longfellow Street, just at the edge of Gascon. But I warn you, it's a goddamn menagerie she's got. I'd stay away if you're averse to being covered in animal hair.
I'll take my chances.
So she's the crazy cat lady. There's nothing wrong with wretched cats. I have 3 of them.
Exactly what is your role here at the bank?
I'm the manager. I handle the new accounts, organize finance, that sort of thing.
Have you been here long?
Coming up on 17 years. Is this at all relevant to your investigation?
Anything could be, Mr. Andrews.
And here we go.
Were you aware of Miss Lathan's death?
What? Desiree is dead? No.
She was found burned to death in her bed.
You're lying. You have to be.
I'm afraid I'm not, Mr. Andrews.
Oh, Desiree.
Do you have any idea who might have wanted to kill her?
No, she was a marvelous woman.
Well, I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news, but at least you won't have to worry about writing any more letters.
Ouch.
That isn't funny, Mr. Fordham.
Yes, it was. Don't listen to him.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Andrews.
It's like, we'll leave you to mourn. Well, at least he went straight back to work.
We haven't got anything else to ask him about right now.
Oh, I figured Dupree would have something to tell us about him. Alright, well, let's see where we go from here. We've got the Andrews residence. Yeah, let's go talk to the wife.
Nice house. It definitely screams, eccentric person lives here. Speaking of which, that must be Mrs. Andrews over there with those rodents.
Aw, I like squirrels.
Rats with fluffy tails. How anyone can find them endearing is beyond me.
Hush up, Bill. You're dead. Anything? Nope. Just a chat with Margaret.
Excuse me, Mrs. Andrews?
May I help you?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I was hoping you could answer a few questions.
All right then. Don't worry, my darlings. Mommy only needs a moment to speak to the nice man, then I'll give you all the nuts you can eat. My little friends just adore nuts, Mr. Fordham.
Guess that explains why squirrels are so attracted to her.
That was a good one.
Did you know Desiree Lathan?
Not personally. I never met her, but I knew exactly who she was.
And who was that?
A miserable drunk. Always going out and getting liquored up at her so-called socialite balls. They try to make them seem so fancy and high class, but it's really just a bunch of bitter old hags getting together to gossip about each other. With that kind of lifestyle, it was only a matter of time before I caught up with her.
Do you happen to know anything about the circumstances surrounding the death of Miss Lathan?
I read in the paper that she was burned to death. In her bed, wasn't it?
That's right. Do you have any idea how that may have happened?
Well, I already told you she was a drunk. Maybe she came home plastered and decided to smoke in bed. I'm rather surprised she was sleeping alone. That woman got around, if you know what I mean.
She certainly seems to know a lot about Desiree for someone who claims to have never met her.
Do you have any hobbies or pastimes, Mrs. Andrews?
Well, of course. I do a bit of knitting and I take care of my pets.
I take it you're fond of animals?
Oh, yes. I just love animals. Most prove to be better company than people.
Is that right?
Well, consider this, Mr. Fordham. Animals can't betray you or lie.
Uh-oh, I don't like where this is going.
My furry little companions would never hurt me, unlike several humans I could name.
Who are these companions, exactly?
Why, my darling little kitties and squirrel friends, of course.
Tell me about your cats.
They're the most wonderful little dears. Do you have any pets?
Afraid not. My wife isn't too fond of cleaning up after animals.
Pity. Cats make wonderful pets. They're good company and are independent, unlike dogs. Edgar and Hubert are my pride and joy. I give them only the best of everything, and they in turn give me their unconditional love.
That's delightful.
I used to have a wonderful cat named Tobias, but, he had an unfortunate accident. That's why I never let my 2 angels out of the house.
Okay, well, just for having 2 cats, that's not too bad.
Your squirrel friends are quite tame.
Oh, aren't they just the sweetest? And so smart, too. When I feed them, they come up and put their little paws on my hands as though they were giving me little squirrel hugs. And the way they look into my eyes, I can almost hear them saying, "Thank you for the nuts."
Well, at least you can be grateful that it's only my voice you hear and not some rabid squirrels.
What happened to Tobias the cat?
I really rather not talk about that. It wasn't my finest hour. Let's just say it was an honest misunderstanding which got blown way out of proportion.
Well, now I just have to know what happened. I hate it when people tease gossip and don't deliver.
Objective added.
Thank you for the chat. It was very enlightening.
Oh, my pleasure, Mr. Fordham. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to tending to my little darlings.
Is it bad that I want to find out what happened to Tobias more than Miss Lathan? I guess that says something about me as a cat owner. But alright guys, there's a lot of threads that we're going to need to pull here in this investigation. But we will go ahead and end it here and pick it up next time. Hope you all have enjoyed it. If you liked the episode, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. And we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.